easy the last bunch of days. And now we're getting ready to head out. Tomorrow's Saturday. We're going to go up the mast, we're going to inspect the rig up at the top, and then after that we're going to do some dinghy davit maintenance. And yeah, just that's the deal for the next 24 hours. And here's what Preveza looks like, and we really like Preveza. Preveza's a great town. There is a parade of people every night. People just walk up and down the quay, and we sit here and have beers.
Yes, back to beer 30.
Okay, so what's going on here is that we've got a new Suzuki 20 horsepower outboard. Weighs a little bit more than our previous outboard, and we're really concerned about these davits. I'm going to redo both of them, but I'm going to start with this one. In the past, the pins have sheared off and the entire thing is let go. So I'm going to pull it apart and take a look at it and replace the pins, the existing screws, hopefully with these hex drive Allen screws, we would call them. The thing about Allen screws is because because they'll cam out relatively easily if they're not super hard steel, they tend to be a higher grade of steel than what you're going to find elsewhere. Just what people have done previously is just run regular threaded screws through the shear point between the axle and the drum of the winch. It's really a miniature winch, so a ratcheting winch with a clutch on it, and it's just sheared the metal right off because of the weight. So we're going to replace them with this. I was going to use drill bits and cut them down with abrasive cutting discs, but I decided I'm going to do this instead. I think this is really more the right answer, something that you can remove easily and it won't come out on its own. So yeah, right in here you can see like a flathead screw that's been put through there. That was by me. It was the only thing I had at the time. There's plenty of clearance for lots of threads and everything, so I'm just going to pull this out, pull the whole mechanism out, and we'll hop to it. Hopefully get this one done fairly quickly since I've done it before. Anything that falls down into this hole though is going to be lost forever. There's no getting it out. And this is the screw I'm looking to take out.
Inside the bucket.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm talking right now.
So we're so worried about losing these parts overboard. We've had it happen twice already. So this is where we're trying to get to. We want to get this out, replace it with one of the hex drive screws. So I left the nut on. I'm a little worried that this screw has probably got a lip on it and doesn't want to come out. I left the nut on a little bit just to keep my my punch. I'm going to use a center punch just to try to tap that out. So I don't want it slipping off the nut or damaging the threads really too badly, mushrooming over the top or anything. I'd like it to be able to pull out easily.
Calisto. No, sorry. I want to say Calispera.
Calispera. Llamas.
Llama.
This is the ginormous sunshade I made over the winter. It still needs some adjustment. We just got it up today, just kind of to temp it out. The camping poles, the tent poles I got are too weak for it. But yeah, I mean, it kept us in the shade all day, and that's what really mattered. It was quite a bit cooler on board the boat. Yeah, so it's good. This is fun. This is finally a little bit relaxed after being in the yard for what 3 weeks.
Oh my God, all the projects we did.
Yeah,
It's so great to get
it's
out.
worthwhile, but a lot of work, just a ton of work.
Glad to be here and not there.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, you know, I hate going up the mast, but we haven't done a rigging inspection yet this year, and Up at the masthead, there's some things that we always want to look at every year before we get started, after we've taken the mainsail down. One of the first things we do is protect the windows with our cockpit cushions. A dropped tool could go right through the glass. It's tempered glass and everything, but it's not going to take the weight of a crescent wrench falling on it. And I'm going to really work hard not to have that happen. There's an argument to be made for tying all your tools with string, but if you do that and you have too many tools, which I've got probably 10 or 12, then we may have issues with that. Wendy's lowering the passerelle halyard because I'm going to use that as a safety line. Yep. Keep going. Here I'm just trying to do a quick inspection of the radar to make sure that all the fasteners are secure and that the wiring hasn't changed in some way, that it's not exposed. But otherwise, just a quick look and make sure it's not loose. The rivets that hold the scan strut bracket on are still in good shape. Just a quick visual inspection. At the masthead, I've got several things going on I want to take a look at. Now, the first is just to make sure that the rigging looks like it should, that there's no rust or damage, anything that looks out of place. I want to make sure that the clevis pins look like they're in good shape visually. This isn't a professional rigging inspection, it's really just kind of a rundown of giving it the once over to see if anything looks out of place. The next thing is what I'm working on now. Is a little bit bigger of a deal. We have the foils that the sail wraps on inside the mast are in segments, and the top segment has somehow come loose. They're pinned together, but this top section has a tendency to catch on the bolt rope of the mainsail and get pulled up, and that creates a gap where the bolt rope runs out of the top foil section and then back into the next one, and that worries me because it's not good. It can create wear at the bolt rope, and so the trick is to get up here and make sure that this section of foil is pushed all the way down. It's a little bit of a weird thing, but to take this foil out is really something that it helps to have the mast off to do. It's not an easy thing to take the foil out. It can be done while the mast is up, but you have to take the entire gooseneck assembly apart, and each segment will come out of the mast, and then you can drive the pin out of it and remove that segment, and then so there's probably 10 or 12 segments of foil that run all the way to the top. So anyway, this is our fix for it. It's a little bit of a hassle, but once you've done it, it doesn't get out of whack moving forward, so you can, as long as it's checked and in good shape, everything's fine there. Final item we have to address is our headsail adjustment. This is always kind of an issue. Our new sails were cut based on the sizing of the old sails. I also suspect that the new rigging that was done in Troon by the previous owner was maybe not exactly the same length of forestay as what was there originally, because the sails, neither of them really fit exactly properly at the top, and if you have too much space between the top furler swivel and where the halyard comes out of the mast, it'll have a tendency to wrap. I also suspect that there was a lot of African dust. We had a ton of rain and grease that comes up from Africa in the wintertime. It has this red dust and dirt in it, and it gets all inside everything. These swivel assemblies use a plastic ball bearing called Torlon, and they're designed not to be lubricated. To lubricate them, you just wash them down with fresh water. Pretty hard to do at the masthead. You're not going to get up there with a hose very often, and I think that there's some dirt and grime in there. It'll work its way out. I'd probably like to rebuild this furler in the future, the swivel part rather. But in the meantime, I'm trying to get the height adjustment proper, so that the swivel is close enough to where the halyard comes out of the masthead that it doesn't want to wrap around the forestay. If it's too tight, you'll get to a point where you just can't lift it anymore. If it's too loose, it'll wrap. I make this adjustment at the top of the sail, at the head of the sail, because although we could add in loops of line or something at the bottom, I like the idea of keeping the sail low on the boat. It's performance-wise, you want to keep the power of a head sail as low as possible, and so just above the railing on the bow of the boat is where you want it. You don't want to be raising the sail too much further up if you can avoid it. So we're using these kind of these cable pendants that I've had made up in various sizes to make this adjustment. All right, finally seeing decent numbers on the refrigeration, on the freezer in particular. We had a bad probe, it turned out. It was reporting bad temperatures to the system, and it was really having trouble getting down to really cold temperatures. So we got 4.1 on the fridge and minus 10.2 on the freezer. We've got the freezer set at minus 16, so we're going to see how high it can go. But otherwise, things are good. The boat is actually getting cleaned up. It's still a little bit of a mess. It's not, photo ready or anything, but we're ready tomorrow to leave for Kioni. A bit of a late start. We wanted to get out a couple of days ago, but that didn't happen because the refrigeration people had to change out that probe. But yeah, we've got things stowed mostly enough so that they're not going to tip over while we're sailing, and that's kind of the thing we always look for. Wendy's in the process. That gurgling sound you hear in the background is her putting water into the tanks so that we leave with full tanks. And we've updated our charts. We have updated all the firmware on our Ray Marine Electronics system. It's really pretty much ready to go. We're feeling good about it all at the moment. And we're hoping tomorrow we get some nice wind. We're actually going to be going through the Lefkas canal, so we'll probably be motoring through. We will be motoring through there. What have we here?
I just photobombed you and you didn't even see it.
That's okay. I don't mind hotties photobombing me.
I'm getting water.
I see that.
It's a difficult job.
Has to be supervised.
Must be.
Wouldn't want to waste any. Well, in typical Greek fashion, the new tape cruising tax is a total cluster of a mess. And everybody's running around in circles trying to figure a way to get it paid. The online website doesn't work properly. None of the officials want to deal with it. It's somebody else's problem, and so it's just a mess. So we're using an agent. We've decided to come over here and just let them handle it instead. So the free market comes to the rescue. Yeah, so what we have here going on is the promenade in Preveza. In all honesty, it's actually an incredible scene. I've always said that the mark of a culture is how comfortable young girls are walking alone, and this is a perfect example of it. The parents are sitting at these tavernas drinking beers and whatnot, and the kids walk up and down the quay, and they it's just, here it is, almost 11 o'clock at night, and they're just walking around and loving life, and it's a great social scene. The kids get yelled at, the young girls in particular, if they haven't answered their phone from the mom. Boy, let me tell you what, there is war over that, and they sit there and say, oh, they didn't get the call and all this. You can see it even in Greek. You know what's going on. So we love it. This is the coolest place ever. And there's my beer waiting for me, still at the restaurant where I left it 10 minutes ago. Go get a camera. Wendy's picking up the flooring material. It's great for walking around on, but if the boat is heeling at all, it becomes a little bit dangerous.
We're just pulling up anchor in Preveza. What's it doing? Gotta keep kicking it in. Is it up?
Bye, Cleopatra. See you soon.
Ate what they caught last night.
Sure did, and that was delicious. What did we have last night?
We had sea bass, big monster, cut down the middle. Ate them all up.
Yeah, that was a tasty dish. Leaving the Preveza channel. Keep an eye on our spreaders and everything for this thing. I see it. meters right now. Right there, that's the end.